Afternoon. This is a public hearing regarding the 2022 update of the Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual. It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. It is 3:26 p.m. Our Board of County Commissioners meeting took a little bit longer. I am Carolina Mejia. I am the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. To Vice Chair's Menser's right is our interim County Manager, Jennifer Walker, and to her right is our Clerk of the Board, Amy Davis. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on an ordinance amending Thurston County Code, Section 15.05.010, to adopt the 2022 edition of the Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual, DDECM. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person, by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of the public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify, but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Shannon Peterson, Water Resource Utility Planner, will provide information on this topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, we will read your name aloud. We will read the names on the sign-up sheet 3 at a time, so those in room 152 have a chance to come up the stairs for testimony, which that will not be an issue today. You have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and address for the record. The public hearing is now open. Shannon will now present background information of the proposed update of the Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Shannon?
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Shannon Peterson, Water Resources Utility Planner with Public Works. And this public hearing is to accept public comment on the ordinance amending Thurston County Code Section 15.05.010 regarding adoption of the 2022 edition of the Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual for Thurston County. A notice of public hearing was published in the Olympian on March 3rd, 2022, and no public comments have been received to date. The Thurston County Drainage Design and Erosion Control Manual acts as an enforceable document to address runoff from new development, redevelopment, and construction site projects in unincorporated Thurston County. Per the county's current Western Washington Phase 2 municipal stormwater permit issued by the Department of Ecology, updates to the drainage manual are required to be adopted and made effective no later than June 30th, 2022. Internal and external outreach efforts on the proposed update included postcard mailings to local engineering firms and the Olympia Master Builders, informational emails sent to the Drainage Manual subscription list, updates to the Public Works Drainage Manual webpage, which included first and second draft documents, a summary of changes and online comment forms, and a virtual open house was held via the Drainage Manual website. On February 3rd, 2022, a briefing was held to inform the Board of County Commissioners of the proposed updates to the Drainage Manual and next steps in the public engagement and adoption process. Updates to the Drainage Manual are consistent with the county's strategic plan and are in alignment with the Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community, and Initiative 9 to support environmental health and climate stabilization. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Yes. Yes. Are these requirements put in place through state legislation or RCWs or the Growth Management Act? What's the regulating body that requires this timeline?
The timeline is required by our Department of Ecology issued municipal stormwater permit.
Okay, and once we do this, then we'll be in compliance?
Yes.
And if we don't do it, we'll be out of compliance when June comes around or something?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes. As of July 1st, we would be out of compliance if we don't adopt.
Is this going to be any more restrictive for citizens that want to do something with their property? Less restrictive, remain the same? What would you break this down as?
I would break it down as to fairly similar to the current manual. Ecology had made 9 significant changes that we were required to update. There are a few changes for small projects. They will be required to submit a stormwater pollution prevention plan checklist now that they didn't have to do before. But for the most part, most things will remain the same.
And in the end, this will give us just a little cleaner water, possibly?
That is the hope, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Metzer?
Shannon, you mentioned this morning, I have it written down on another piece of paper. Was it February 8th or that we had
February
our-
3rd.
February 3rd. So just the public, if they want to know more detail, there's a live streamed, archived briefing from February 3rd where the specific changes were gone through by the board. Just wanted to throw that out there. No other questions.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. With that, we'll move on to public testimony, and there is no one in the boardroom, and there is only one person via Zoom. So, Mr. John Pettit, you have 4 minutes. Amy's pulling up the timer. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make a note that I understand the general process that we're talking about. I will have to admit, I decided to take a look. I've even had some contact from various parties on the outside of the county talking about their concerns about the requirements, for hard surface areas for their projects and such. And so I go online at this point in time, and I actually find no actual documents to review, which is a little disappointing because I'm a quick read and would have picked up some of the things. And we're not actually online 24 hours a day looking at things. So I would encourage to perhaps actually post all those actual changes up rather than have to go back and hunt up the video on it. One of the notable things which I'm going to bring up here is that of all of the property owners as such in the entire county, Thurston County has the greatest amount of hard surface and stormwater as any individual organization does. And as such, I'm thinking, well, I think that there's one of the things about all ordinances, you have to comply with the state and the requirements with the stormwater. But you also need to consider that people, every element of every restriction, every process that's an additional process to go through, all of those things affect property owners. It makes it more difficult. There is not one single law or ordinance or program that doesn't actually create more burden to the people to comply. Am I all about fresh, clean water? Absolutely. And I can tell you that actually the party that actually violates it more than anyone right now happens to be Thurston County. I have a huge amount of stormwater running down my driveway off the road. So I do think we need to be attentive to it. I think a little more information, but the basic rule for all stormwater typically is that you contain it on your property, that you find a means to have it infiltrate back into the ground that's within the property boundaries. And I think that it's very difficult to just make general statements. This is the percentage that you need to have. And one of the complaints I had is the maximum amount of hard surface was going to be 10,000 square feet, whether you had a quarter acre or whether you had 40 acres. I mean, it's whichever is less type category. So there's a few tweaking elements that could be done. And there's certainly some people hopeful that some of the burden or the restriction can be lifted, and then go ahead and if they can submit a plan that they can handle the stormwater within their own property from their own hard surfaces, there ought to be a provision that allows them to have leeway for what they can do with their property and the hard surfaces. So that concludes it, but I'm sure I'll be sending you more public comment via email. Thank you.
Thank you. That, commissioners, any further discussions or questions?
I do have a question, and I don't know, I guess this would be of the county manager. And I don't know how accurate Mr. Pettit was, but I thought he said he couldn't find it on the internet. So do we not have this posted and available?
Microphone.
Do we not have this posted and available for the public to review on our internet somewhere?
Shannon, can you share where we have it posted, please?
Yeah, this is posted on the Public Works Drainage Manual website.
Would that be the same as, like, we notified the public, we're having a public hearing about this topic? Would it say at that location to go to the Drainage Manual website?
I am looking at the page for the public hearings, and the legal notice mentions that. Okay, thank you. So the legal notice that was published directs individuals to go to the Public Works website for that
Okay,
document for review.
thank you.
Commissioner Munster?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Okay, this hearing is closed. And we will be probably discussing.
This item will be brought before the board for consideration for the April 12th board meeting.
Thank you.
New Zoom, right?
New Zoom.
Okay,
Yes.
so with that, this meeting is adjourned and we'll be resuming the other one at the Zoom meeting. Good afternoon. This is a public hearing establishing speed limits. It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. It is 3:40 p.m. This meeting is starting a little bit later than anticipated just due to a previous public hearing as well as the Board of County Commissioners meeting. I am Carolina Mejia. I am the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. To Vice Chair Menser's right is our interim county manager, Jennifer Walker, as well as our clerk of the board, Amy Davis. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on repealing Resolution 12083 and approving a new resolution updating criteria for establishment of an alteration to speed limits on county roads. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person, by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Matt Unselman, Traffic Engineering and Operations Manager, and Becky Kahn, Civil Engineer, will provide information on this topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, we will read your name aloud. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you are called on, please state your name and address for the record. The public hearing is now open. Matt and Becky will now present background information of the proposed amendment, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Matt, Becky?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for your time today. My name is Matt Unselman. I'm Thurston County Traffic Engineer. Becky is not with us today, but I got good news. Samuel Bloom, who you guys all met at 2 o'clock, County Manager Walker introduced him to the Board of County Commissioners. So he will be doing the presentation for me or not the presentation, he'll be doing the slides for us today. I'll be providing you with some information on Public Works, on how Public Works establishes and manages speed limits in Thurston County. Most people don't really understand how complex establishing speed limits can be. Speed limits cannot be taken lightly. There is a large level of liability that can be incurred by the county if they are set incorrectly. Next slide, Sam. So, and I'm going to go through this presentation fairly quickly. Most of the material that was presented or that is included in this presentation was included in a Board of County Commissioner board briefing back on January 19th. So those of you who wish to find additional information, I would encourage you to go to the Thurston County YouTube site and go to January 19th, and you'll see when Becky and myself briefed the county Board of County Commissioners. Today, we're quickly going to go through the federal, state, and local guidelines and requirements for speed limits. We're going to discuss the importance of appropriately setting speed limits. We're going to discuss the speed limit revision process. And then finally, we're going to be discussing some changes that staff is proposing for County Resolution 12083. So quickly, the federal requirements are included in the document that's called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That federal document is actually adopted by RCW for Washington state law as well. Next slide, Sam. On a local level, we use Thurston County Code 12.105, which states that all county roadways, unless otherwise posted, are 50 miles per hour. And a lot of people are surprised. I receive a lot of phone calls regarding speed limits, and people don't realize that if there isn't a speed limit sign on a road, that road is 50 miles per hour. The only reason it wouldn't be 50 miles per hour would be if it was otherwise posted with a different speed. The other resolution, or the other guideline we use, is Thurston County Resolution 12083. And what 12083 does is it outlines the process for how we do an engineering study. The 1203 or 0283 contains two performance metrics which are widely used in the traffic engineering world, and those include the 85th percentile speed as well as the 10 mile per hour pace speed range. The 85th percentile speed is simply that out of 100 cars, 85 of those cars are traveling at that 85th percentile speed or less. And the 10 mile per hour pace speed simply means that's the majority of the traffic on that road is traveling within that 10 mile per hour speed range. Next slide, Sam. So based upon the regulations I just went through, the speed limits can be reviewed and revised periodically. I would like to take a moment to discuss the importance of setting such speed limits. The primary purpose of speed limits is to enhance the safety of the traveling public. And what we're trying to do is disparage varying speeds on the roadway. If a speed limit is set too slow and the first car they travel through the corridor at that slower speed limit, the cars behind that car could become frustrated and take inappropriate decisions like trying to pass where sight distance in a curve or a hill is not adequate. And unfortunately, in Thurston County, when people make poor decisions when driving, our rural county roadways are often high speed. And so those collisions often result in very serious injury or even fatality collisions. Next slide, Sam. So this just outlines the process we use to revise speed limits or establish speed limits. First, we'll receive a service request, and that could be from the commissioner's office, the sheriff's office, or a public service complaint. We perform an engineering study, then we receive public comment, we propose the new speed limit, and then finally the board considers and adopts that speed limit. Next slide. And let's just go ahead and skip to the next slide after this, Pam. So County Resolution 12083 sets the local requirements for establishing speed limits. So language included in this resolution states that speed limits shall not be installed below the lower limit of the 10-mile-per-hour pace speed, or 2, no lower than the second 5-mile-per-hour increment, less than the 85th percentile speed. So staff agrees that these are good considerations in evaluating speed limits, but they should not prevent us from being able to consider other things such as the collision history on the roadway, the design speeds, the roadway geometry, the number of driveways, the number of bicyclists, the number of pedestrians. These are all what we call engineering judgment that should be taken into account when considering establishing or revising the speed limit. Next slide. So staff is proposing to change the language so that the 85th percentile and 10-mile-per-hour pace speeds will be used along with engineering judgment. We checked around with other agencies regarding this approach, and this is consistent on how other agencies are evaluating their speed limits as well. Next slide, Sam. And actually, we're going to skip to the next slide, Sam. So what this slide is going to do, I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. These next slides this slide is an example of how staff would use engineering judgment in addition to the 85th percentile and 10-mile-per-hour pace speed considerations. So this portion of roadway is 93rd Avenue, which extends between Tilley Road, almost near our Tilley Road Public Works facility, and Old Highway 99 at the east side. And currently it's posted at 50 miles per hour. We recently did a speed study, and the 85th percentile was 51 miles per hour. So legally, per our own local criteria, we could only reduce that speed limit to 45 miles per hour. Engineering judgment, however, would consider that 93rd is very narrow, lacks shoulders, in some cases doesn't have shoulders, has some sight restrictions due to vertical geometry. And even with the lack of shoulders, I'm always amazed. Obviously, I work on the Tilley facility, so I drive on this road a lot. And I'm always amazed about how many people walk along this road and ride their bikes along this road, even though there isn't shoulders. And unfortunately, we had a bicyclist fatality on this roadway in just the past year. The other thing to consider is that the area in yellow that's shown on the screen has actually been annexed by the city of Tumwater and has actually been developed since this photo was taken. So this portion of 93rd Avenue has a much more urban feel to it than the traditional rural 50 mile per hour road that it was in the past. The other important consideration on 93rd is that between I-5 and Tilley Road, the state has it posted at 40 miles per hour. So engineering judgment would allow us to go ahead and provide that consistent 40-mile-per-hour corridor all the way from I-5 to Old Highway 99, which would provide much more safety for roadway users, but it would also eliminate or lessen driver confusion because you would have a consistent 40-mile-per-hour speed limit through the entire corridor. So I hope that example kind of puts it in perspective of how we could use engineering judgment in addition to the 85th percentile speed and 10-mile-per-hour pace speed considerations. So just some other minor housekeeping items. Since we're updating, if this were to be updated, we would go ahead and update some other minor things included in Resolution 12083, such as we wouldn't house this document at a physical location. This document would be available on the Public Works website. And then the current document currently references Roads and Transportation Services Department. We're simply striking that and replacing it with, I actually work in the Office of the County Engineer now. With that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions or provide additional information. Go ahead and stop sharing, Sam.
Thank you, Matt. Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No, good job, Matt.
Good job,
Appreciate
Matt.
No.
Questions? No?
Nope.
Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and set public testimony. There's no one in the boardroom, so we'll go ahead with Zoom. And Amy, will you help me call on, I cannot see the screen where they're next.
Yeah, first up, I have Jason Adams.
Yes.
Jason, you have 4 minutes.
Okay, this is actually Lee Wilder, and I'm the one that actually instigated our proceedings with the Case Road area around the Freightliner Northwest facility and the intersection of Case Road and Little Rock Road. I've talked with Matt about this a couple of times, and it's considered kind of a special area because the road is set up for 50 miles an hour. But with the businesses that are going in around us and the fact that we deal with large trucks, we have speed limitations as to how fast one of the trucks that we service can actually get out onto the roadway. And we determined that if the vehicle was doing 50 miles an hour northbound on Case Road, doing the legal speed limit, if they came around the blind corner before our facility, they would probably be approximately 50 feet past me before they could get stopped. So that is one of the reasons we've been pushing this, what they want to amend to go through, because their hands are tied. This is the road by legality. It's all correct. In practicality, it's not. It's actually the speed limit's way too. Even though it does change at the railroad tracks, there are warning signs by the time you get the tracks. In the last 2 years, we've had 2 train car collisions, and one of them was a truck. So it was a train truck, train car. And they were actually, the second one, the car ran into the train. So, no, I support him. And once he explained what they were going to do and how it worked, I fully supported what they want to do. So I am done.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Next, I have Barbara Gross.
Hi, my name is Barbara Gross. I live on Woodard Bay Road, 6218 Woodard Bay Road, and have had some conversations with Matt and Becky over the past few years about the speed limit on our road. And the example that Matt gave for 93rd Street can apply out here as well. We have, driving out here, you have a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, then a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, and then a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit within a mile of my house. And we have a 1.5 mile long stretch of road that's 50 miles an hour in front of us. And it's it's really too fast. We have pedestrians, we have lots of bicyclists. And what happened when there was an attempt to try and lower the speed limit, it was exactly what Matt had talked about, which was that they couldn't lower it any more than 45 miles an hour because people speed here a lot, but that doesn't mean that they're being safe. So I just wanted to show up here to encourage you to support the changes that Matt's proposing. And you have professional, trained engineers working on this stuff. I think that having their discretion to be part of the judgment of what speed limits are is a really important thing. And I think we'll get better safety and better quality of life in all realms if we can do that. So I just encourage you to let your staff use their training and change the rules so that they can provide the best service. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Barbara. Amy, anyone else? No? Okay. With that, is there any more discussion?
No more discussion on my part, ma'am.
I know we have this on for next week, and I'll just come right out and say I'll be supporting it. So really thank those citizens for coming out and giving their 2 cents, why it's important.
Thank you. And thank you to staff for putting up this presentation today. Okay, with that.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. And so just to clarify the next steps, this is set for next week?
April 12th, that is correct.
April 12th, okay. So if you would like to follow along, we will be discussing this on April 12th as well. Thank you. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.